concluded its first season on the CW, just airing its finale moments ago, and I just finished wrapping it up. So if you haven't seen it yourself, be sure to tune out and come back once you have, because I am going to go into some spoilers for this episode, so be warned. Also, light spoilers for some of the other CW Arrowverse shows as well. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit vague and whatnot, but there are some things I want to kind of call out here because of what's been going on. So, as we know, this episode for Batwoman, the finale for Supergirl, and the finale for The Flash were not the intended written finales for these seasons, because filming got cut short before they could actually get to those due to everything going on in the world right now. So the finales that we're getting were not the intended finales, and they did their best to try to work them in to try to make them book out some of the main core ideas that were being presented throughout the season so far. And I think The Flash got really lucky with that, because the episode that we wrapped up on did pertain to the main core plot of this season up to this point. It primarily dealt with Eva McCulloch, with Mirror Iris, with Mirror Master, with that whole black hole situation. And although not everything completely concluded, it did feel like it was relevant, it was important, tied into the season. And it ended in a very Empire Strikes Back kind of way. So it definitely felt very much more like a finale than this episode did. So that's where we're starting this off at, because this was very much so, very plainly, a Villain of the Week episode that was just had some minor things that was just moving our primary overflow plots forward just a little bit. And honestly, that aspect of this episode was just completely stupid. The primary focus of this episode is this guy named Titan. He is a former football player who happened to escape from Arkham, where he was locked up for the past couple of years after the events of last episode, is just running around with some machetes, rampaging through Gotham, exacting his vengeance on some of the people that covered up some of his football injuries and the damage that was done to his brain, which allows him not to feel pain. And the guy that they got to play this guy is not a great actor to begin with. His deliveries are really weird. His physical presence is very awkward and I don't know. There's something weird about it. And just his flow of motion in the combat does not work as well. Even Naruto runs at one point in this, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't take this seriously. Thankfully, we had some of these other bits throughout the episode that kind of distracted away from that, that we had thrown in there and sprinkled in there, but that was the main thing that everything was centering around. Because this guy, because of this brain damage that he was forced to keep playing football through, it just kept damaging his brain more and more as a result of such, but he could not feel pain as a result of this. And he was a known steroid user, and apparently, while he was in Arkham, or straight after leaving Arkham, has already had a steady supply of steroids because he is still maintaining that physicality. This guy is a tank, he doesn't feel pain, and he can overpower Batwoman. He even breaks a couple of her ribs, and she comes to the conclusion that she's not going to be able to take this guy down on her own. I also don't see why the Crows themselves would have problems taking this guy down as well. So, for whatever reason, they decide that the only way we're going to be able to stop this guy is to team up with the Crows. So Mary comes up with this idea to get her dad to meet with Batwoman to get them to work together to take this guy down. So she goes to the bat signal, ignites it, which trips up all this Crow security who comes in, and she gives this really awesome performance where she just goes off on Jacob about his perception of Batwoman, the city's perception of Batwoman, versus the city's perception of the Crows, all the shady garbage crap the Crows have been doing, and how Batwoman's actually helping and inspiring people, and he needs to see straight because he's just got this bloodthirst to taking her down. And you think it's starting to get through to him for a minute, because Kate reveals herself, not herself. She shows up as Batwoman. She doesn't reveal her identity to him, which I think she just needs to get through to this stubborn, bullheaded man. Please. Kate, Jacob, wake the up, please. I'm getting tired of this. I don't like these kinds of plots. I don't. It rarely works for me with a whole, like, we gotta stop the vigilante thing, especially in this case. I don't know. It grinds my gears a little bit. Maybe a little too much. Maybe it's just because the way it's being executed in this show is just like itching me even further. But he reluctantly agrees to help Kate. So they come up with this plan to lure this guy to a football stadium where they're using one of his former coaches as bait. And the guy, as they're setting up, crows are surrounding this place, all kinds of them. Set up, staging, waiting. This guy's just in the center field, lights on him, bait. Come get it. So this escapee, they're calling him Titan, cuts the power to the building and splinter cells through the majority of Jacob's crew. Trained mercenaries, guys, defeated by an ex-football player with some machetes. They have flashlights. They didn't use them. They didn't see him or hear him walking up on them. Ah, my God, man. Drives me insane. But, so Kate has to go in because he's just Naruto running up to the coach now that he's disabled all of Jacob's people. And Kate ziplines down to defend the guy and manages to block his machetes, and she starts to talk no jutsu him, talking him down a little bit. He's starting to come to because he had just previously also killed his brother who testified against him that put him in Arkham. So she's getting through to him a little bit, and as she is, Jacob rolls up on him and just like guns the guy down. And it's at that point, she's like, "What are you doing? You just killed him. I talked him down. You guys just took him in." And then Jacob just has his guys all unload on her. Thankfully, her suit's bulletproof, and thankfully, because he would have just murdered his daughter. And she ziplines away and completely devastated that she thought she trusted him. She was like, nah. I saw it in his eyes. He was going to give me a chance. And nope, cold-blooded was going to just murder her. Not even capture Batwoman. He was going to kill her. What? It just seemed like a lapse in judgment and character. Didn't make any sense to go that far for somebody like that. Like, what more are the people going to think of the Crows when they learn that the Crows murdered Batwoman? Oh my God. Drives me nuts. I don't understand that bit. So Kate's broken up about that, knowing that even though she knows that he doesn't know that Batwoman is her, that he was trying to kill his daughter, she still feels very betrayed by that moment. And we see that affecting in her very much so at the end. You know, and this comes back to the kryptonite that they were talking about, which somehow is, they found out that kryptonite can be used to focus this radiation and power a weapon that could launch something into the suit, piercing it. So it's not about the reactions of kryptonite, it's just the properties allow it to power something similar to how Lex uses it to power a lot of his Lexo suits and stuff. So that's starting to make some sense. It's not the kryptonite element, but what they can use it for in the radiation to power something else to take her down and pierce the suit. Because they make a very point that Jacob's like trying to figure out at the end of this. He's like, dude, we used Desert Eagles and it did not go through that suit. Those things go through everything. He's like, well, we need to find something bigger then. So he's trying to get something even worse to kill her further. He is hunting. It's ridiculous. I don't understand that bit. So they come to the conclusion that Luke figures out, because of some help with Mary, that he just finds a way to destroy the kryptonite. So he does. He destroys the kryptonite that Lucius Fox had left them. So in this moment is when Kate was like, all right, listen, no more secrets between any of us. She tells her about Supergirl because obviously Luke knows about Superman and Batman's relationship. And she's like, listen, I actually have my own kryptonite here that I have left over from Kara and whatnot. So he's like, well, I got to just, we need to destroy that. And he's like, we can't. I made a promise to her to hang on to this in case I ever have to use it. So we got to keep this. And that's where we wrap up with their storyline. So let's come back and rewind a little bit, because we still left Mouse and Alice in the sewers while she's reading over Lucius Fox's journal. Mouse has had it up to this point with her trying to focus on this revenge rather than this happy ending in life that they had and could have had, and that she just needs to figure it out and leave it behind so that they can move on and get out of Gotham and just start their lives over. And he basically just gives her an ultimatum about it. You know, Tommy Elliott shows up for a minute and just like is raving and upset about the face that Alice did give him. He's like, I can't wear this. This is a nobody. This is blah, 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 blah. I'm not doing it. Give me a good face. Like, honestly, the way he's been acting, aside from the moments when he's actually like shooting people and whatnot, I do not find him intimidating. I do not find him threatening. He's just a comical, blubbering idiot half of the time. They are not doing justice to Hush yet, and I hope that they change that going forward, because the little bit at the end of this that I called coming, you can go back and check my other videos. I said this was going to happen. But Alice kills Mouse. She poisons him. She goes through this whole spiel of being like, all right, if we're going to move on, if we're going to go off and leave Gotham behind, we got to say goodbye to all of our pains, burn the thing that binds us to our pain. So she just rips up the Alice in Wonderland book and burns it as a symbol of burning the thing that has them tied to their past. And it's in this moment that he starts to bleed out and he dies. And she's like tearfully like talking about, it's like, I wanted all of this for you, but you wouldn't understand. Like you didn't have these connections and then lose them. So you don't know the betrayal that I felt. It felt very much like Sasuke and Naruto, because it's almost exactly like Naruto never had these connections, so he doesn't understand what it's like to have them and then lose them. It's almost the exact same argument that they have at the Valley of the End. If you're even aware of what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's exactly that. And she's like, listen, you're going to the other side. She's weeping. Great performance by Rachel Skarsten. Wonderful. She's always on the top of her game in this. But my God, she just kills him and just goes, I'm not giving up my revenge. I'm sorry. And he's gone. So she follows up on her deal to make a new face for Thomas Elliot. And we get the reveal at the end. He was like, what did you do? And he's like, I made all of your dreams come true. He looks in the mirror. We see, oh, who's this? Who's this face? And she holds up a magazine of the image she used to create it. And it's billionaire Bruce Wayne. Called it. You know, it happens in the comics. It's not that easy to call. It's not like I'm some wicked genius trying to figure that out or anything, but my God, it happened. Just so we can have Bruce Wayne in the show, know what Bruce Wayne looks like, but not have him be Batman, because God forbid we find out what happens to the real Bruce Wayne and the real Batman. So we know what Bruce Wayne looks like in this world now. We got his face. He's just on Thomas Elliot's body, and they're going to send him into Wayne Tower to try to find the kryptonite, to have him convince his cousin, pretending to be Bruce, convince Kate to give him the kryptonite to give to Alice so that she can use it. And that's our conclusion. These are all small bits of this episode. A huge chunk of it was the whole Titan machete guy. Does not feel like a conclusion. Definitely feels like a late half of the season episode, in which it is. There was supposed to be 2 more episodes after this, I think. So it definitely feels like it. This doesn't feel like it does not at all feel like a finale to me. The Bruce Wayne reveal thing at the end, though, that is a huge thing. That has been set up to be a huge thing. So there's a lot of implications that has that are enticing enough. But when you wrap it all around about a B villain, a C villain, D villain for the majority of your episode, some bits of Sophie's thing, we were like, well, we got to make sure we mention Sophia again, but not really take it anywhere. Just focused on Jacob and Kate and Alice axing off Mouse, and we'll do something with Thomas Elliot. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not all bad. It's just I can't think it doesn't work as a finale, and that's just the unfortunate events of how everything planned out. I've tried to be more lenient on the shows knowing that, but I mean, the way that this ended, and that's another reason I was a lot lighter on The Flash, is that I know this wasn't intended to be the close of the season, but they did a really good job at making it fit enough to be a satisfying conclusion of this arc. This one doesn't, and it's not the show's fault. It was just another episode. This was just another filler episode with some elements of our main stories carrying through, and that's not on them. It wasn't planned. There was no way to have planned for this, what happened in the world. So I can't fault them for that. It's just not a satisfying finale to close out the season on. And I really can't wait until we get back in January 2021 so we can pick up where this left off and see where this all goes, what they do with this Bruce Wayne face. What are they going to do here? I'm really curious to see how that all pans out. I still really enjoy this show. I still really love the cast that's in here. I feel like they don't know what to do with Jacob anymore at this point, other than be like, Batwoman. I don't know. Everybody else, though, Luke, great. Mary's arc has been fantastic. Kate and Ruby Rose in general has been getting a lot more in tune with her character. I've been feeling a lot more of her deliveries, her emotions, her performances being a little more natural, having a lot more chemistry with everybody around her. I feel like she's really growing into this character more so than in the earlier half of this season. So things have been moving forward. And honestly, I don't remember the actor's name, but the person that plays Mouse has some really great moments in this. And I think he's a really good actor and does a really good job in a lot of these scenes. Rachel Starston continues to excel and elevates this show. I honestly think this show would not be as exciting or as fun to watch if it wasn't for her and her performance. But that's what I say. That's what my thoughts on the season so far. I loved it all. I don't know what's going to go on from here, where it's going to go from here, what they're going to do with Alice going forward, given everything going on. I don't know, but that's it. I heard Azrael might be showing up next season, or was intended to be in some of these episodes. I don't know if that's true. I just saw something posted about that. I don't know how they'll wing that in, but that would be cool to see. That Azrael's design's really neat. But yeah, that's all I got for this episode, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts so we can carry on the conversation down in the comments after the video. And thank you all so much. I hope you're all staying safe, taking care of yourselves. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that garbage. And we'll be, as far as DC stuff goes, I mean, we won't have anything for the core Arrowverse stuff until January 2021, but I'm going to be covering Stargirl, which picks up tomorrow. So I'll be watching that and letting you know my thoughts on that. So guys, be sure to tune in and check that out. But thank you all. I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.